Hello and welcome to the house in Fata Morgana, a Requiem for Innocence. After all the carnage last time, Jacopo does not know for sure what happened to Morgana, which would have initially made me think we are going to switch to Morgana's point of view now. But then again, Jacopo has been kind of set up as the main character of this game, and also like his path to power we might still explore, so I don't know. Let's find out. Upon the doorstep of destiny.
Well, there you are, kid. Been wondering where you ran off to.
Oh, gotcha.
How goes it? And it sure ain't the face of a man who just pulled off a goddamn revolution. Your wound hurtin'? I've got something that can make the pain go away if you want some. Oh, there we go. Here she is. Take one of these leaves and grind it up at the back of your mouth. You should start tingling right at the back of your head in no time, and then all the pain's gone, like it was never there. It's some pretty great shit. If you don't mind getting a little loopy for a bit, anyway. But after all that, it ain't like you're gonna need to think straight for a while. So what do you say? Take a few?
I think I'll pass. It does hurt, but I can handle it.
Then why the long face? You're a hero now. People are gonna be looking up to you. And that ain't a great look. What's with the big rock? I don't remember seeing this here before.
Please don't touch it. It's Jaren's gravestone.
Ah, so that's what got you down in the dumps, huh? I mean, I get it. I sure as hell didn't see that one coming either. Talk about a shocker. Sweet little thing like her in bed with the Lord. Women can be fucking scary creatures at times. I don't even want to think about what kind of shit she was scheming while she got all chummy with us.
There was no mask, no facade, no scheming. She was always just being herself.
You're out of your mind, kid. She played us for months, not the tiniest hint. If that ain't a facade, I don't know what is.
She never believed herself to be lying to us. Assuming Jaren genuinely didn't grasp the concept of sadness or fear, that she was incapable of experiencing negative emotions, then it does kind of add up. She loved the Lord, while also enjoying her time with us. To her, they weren't mutually exclusive. To her, feeling both was not wrong.
Well, it looks like you're a lot better at arithmetic than me, cause that don't come close to adding up in my head. Maybe you just don't want to accept that it was all a big fat lie.
Perhaps. I'm not Jaren, and I don't know what she had with the Lord, so all I can do is speculate. And perhaps I do merely want to believe that she was part of the family. Gotcha. Could I ask you to keep this from Maria and the other girls?
You sure?
Regardless of what Jaren's actual feelings were, I don't see any reason to sully the memory of her. Yeah, that kind of doesn't help anyone right now, so...
Fair enough, I guess. Not like the dead can make their own case, so the least we can do for the ones they left behind is not taint their memory. Unless someone knows how to bring him back, that is.
Indeed.
You sure everything's good, kid?
What are you so concerned about?
I mean, this is yours now. When we leave, you'll be staying here.
Just like that? Is it that easy? I don't know.
And I just wanna make sure you're really up for it. If you want, I could take your place.
Pardon?
If you think being in charge it'll be too much to handle, I'll gladly take it off your shoulders. Hell, we both know I'm more of a fighter than you. I could have taken Barnier out without him getting so much as a scratch on me. What do you say? I'll do it.
Don't be stupid. The whole city would be savages by year's end if you were in charge.
Hey, just offering your way out, kid.
It's my burden to bear, and I have no intention of passing it off. I'll have myself back in order by tomorrow.
Well, if you say so. But don't forget, you're in this for the long haul.
Don't worry, I can handle it.
So, do you have any specific plans moving forward? The woman you were conspiring with, Ginevra, was it? They offed her, didn't they?
She was hardly the only noble hoping to see Barnier overthrown. I'll have to start by building up a solid foundation of supporters among the nobility.
Do we really need the Dick squad on our side, though? Why don't we just cut ourselves off from all that crap and start our own country?
There's a thought. But again, it's not that easy.
A place just for us. No royalty or nobility to rob us blind. Just our city.
That would be ideal, but unfortunately, it isn't quite so simple. We can't just overthrow the Lord, take over the city, and build a big wall around the borders. Without a clear, legitimate transfer of power, the neighboring counts will undoubtedly intervene.
So we fight back. What's the problem?
Our little band of peasants was only able to take down the Lord because we had the element of surprise. But what happens when a trained, organized army marches on our borders? You don't need me to answer that for you.
This world's kind of a massive bitch, huh? But it's a hell of a lot better than having old Barnier in power, I guess. You'll change things for the better though, won't you?
You have my word.
Great. So, Jacopo, I know we'll be parting ways here soon and all, but I want you to know I'll never forget this day. We crashed the gates of hell together and made the devil our bitch. It don't matter how far apart we are, nothing will change what we've been through. So let's make the city into the best goddamn city around. You from the top, me from the bottom.
Yes, let's. It's a great comfort to know I have you down there. I have a good deal of trust in you.
I won't disappoint you, kid. And don't you ever hesitate to give me a shout if you need something. When we first met, I kinda wanted to throw you off a cliff and you still rub me the wrong way sometimes. But I also consider you one hell of a partner. And I mean that. We risked our lives for each other. Brothers in arms.
I thank you. I too consider you a good comrade. You and the rest of the gang.
I was beginning to think you'd never come out and say it. No, remember, kid, don't you let us down with this, or you'll be hearing from us, capiche? I know you can do it.
I won't let you down. Okay, that went nice. It'll all go fine. I have allies. Friends I can count on. With their help, I can change things for the better. I can believe in myself. I can do this. I have no reason to think otherwise. Again, it's not going to be so easy, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I did mention this before, that I had my doubts about Requiem, but he was not the one to backstab us, and they have some different points of views, which makes them very human. So yeah, that worked out fine so far. There's fluttering in my stomach. Is nothing to be concerned about. I don't know. When that fated night came to an end, the vast bright blue sky of morning greeted me. I looked up at that sky, standing in a manner that still reeked of blood. And Morgana filled my thoughts. If she were here now, what would she say to me? Congratulations? It was so unlikely. I let out a little laugh. She would undoubtedly criticize me for seizing power through such violent means. Her lips would twist into a scowl, and she would damn me to hell for the 1000th time. She would tell me what I had done was extremely foolish. But perhaps she would also express some concern about my injuries. That was all in my own imagination, though. She would never be at my side again. We would never look up at the same sky again. I would never hear her sing again. My old life was gone, a relic of the past. It would never be the same again. Not without the girl I loved being a part of it. Part 1, Tales of a Distant Past, the end. We completed part 1, okay. Interlude. Recollections of an Outlaw. You're in the mood for something juicy, you say? Hate to break it to your chum, but I ain't made of dough. I'd like a nice slab of meat as much as the next bloke, but I'm barely making do as is. We all are, in case you hadn't noticed. What, you're not hungry? You just want a juicy story to go with your drink? And why didn't you just say that to begin with? Give me a sec. I think I got one you'll like. A few months back, me and a bunch of other blokes went out on a raid, this puny little village. They didn't do much trade, just living off what they could grow, so no one figured we'd make out with much. Grab a little grub, blow some of the girls, that was the best anyone was hoping for. Business as usual, we killed the guys, had some fun with the girls, then killed them too. Nothing too interesting, nothing real exciting up to that point. But that changed when I busted into this one house. And there's a man, a woman, and a little girl, maybe 5 years old. No siblings, just the girl. Real small family for a village like that. That comes at me to protect the girl, then Ma tries to block me way. No surprise here, I kill them both. Couple of unarmed farmers, easy as snapping a baby's neck. Okay. That left the kid. Wasn't like she could do nothing, so I didn't have to kill her. But you know how the stupid things get, crying like it's the end of the bloody world. So I figure I'll run her through before she starts howling on me, right? But get this. The kid smiled at me and said, "Where are you from, mister?" Couldn't believe my ears. Girl, your parents were just killed by me, and I'm coming to kill you next. How the hell are you smiling, and how the hell are those the first words out of your tiny little mouth? Creeped me out, truth be told. So much so I lost all interest in killing her. So I dug around for anything worth taking and then went on my way. But this damn kid, I tried to leave, and guess what? She fucking follows me. Doesn't want revenge or nothing, just smiling like a fool. I'm a patient bloke, but this was beyond the pale. I yelled at the stupid thing, "Why the hell you following me? Piss off." And she gives me this confused look and says, "I'm bored. Everyone else stopped moving, so I have nothing else to do. But you're still moving, mister."
My damn head was spinning. She was maybe 5, yeah? I could understand her being a little stupid, but she should have known right from wrong enough to know to be scared of me. You'd have to be out of your mind to come trotting after the bastard who just offed your parents. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what her problem was. She wasn't right in the head. I tried to get her to piss off, but she wasn't hearing it. The other guy started talking, maybe we should just neck her, right? And one guy says with a big smile, "We'll say we take bets on what it'd take to make the kitty cry." So we did just that. We started placing bets. Give her a good yell and she'll cry. Knock her around some, that'll do it. I say yank out a tooth or two. Rip off her nails one by one. What's wrong with you people? And finally, blow her till she breaks. We went round and did everything we could think of, our absolute worst. Not like we have pretended to be good people, but it ain't every day you see a bunch of grown men taking turns knocking the hell out of a 5-year-old girl. And hell, that by itself's a good Jenkins story if I ever heard one. But it keeps going. She never cried. No matter what we did. Not a once. She would groan and twist her face when we hit her, so she did feel pain. But even that was only for a second. After that, she'd be back to smiling like an idiot. Tell you the truth, she seriously creeped me the fuck out. I wanted to just end it there and forget all about her. But the rest of the guys, they took a liking to her. Wanted to bring her back with us. I tried to talk him out of it, but one guy says, "What's the big deal? Ain't like we're adopting her. We'll have some fun, and when we get bored, she's gone." And it's pretty damn hard to argue against that. If I kept fighting it, I'd look like I was trying to be the good guy or something. And so now we've got this kid in the crew. First month or so she's with us, everyone's treating her like their plaything. But after a little bit, that starts to change. They start being kinda nice to her. Giving her extra food, letting her join in on conversations, that sort of thing. She still creeped me out, sure, the way she never stopped smiling. But she wasn't ugly or nothing. Could be kinda cute even. Once she started talking with us more, I realized something. None of us knew this damn kid's name. So I ask her, and get this. She says, "I'm me." Dead fucking serious.
Now, like I've been saying, the girls always never made much sense. But this was on another level. So I press her, "No, what's your name?" But she just tilts her head and says the same thing. "I'm me."
So you're saying your name is me?
I ask, and she gives me this big fat grin and nods her head. Who the hell names their kid me? Her parents seemed like reasonable enough folks. They at least cared enough to try and protect her from me. They just ran out of ideas trying to come up with a name for her or what? As I'm thinking to myself, I see there's something sewn into the bottom of her shirt. Looked like writing, but I can't read for shite, so I call over the only educated guy in the crew and have him look at it. Turns out it was a name, Jaren. "Your name ain't me, it's Jaren," I say. And she lights up like a fucking village we just got through with. "Really? My name's Jaren? I never knew." I let out the biggest sigh of my life and say to her, "You're the dumbest broad I ever known." But a month after we picked the girl up, we had a bit of trouble. There's this chubby bloke by the name of Marcos, and he starts getting this thing for her, yeah? I ain't one to get on a guy about what gets his rocks off, but a 5-year-old girl? That just ain't right. Marcos was kinda slow in the head, always at the back of the pack, and mostly useless when we went out on jobs. Only reason we kept him round was 'cause he made a good pack mule. He was annoying as all hell besides. Always saluting and saying "aye aye" like he thought we were a bunch of pirates or something. And he called everyone boss, 'cause apparently that was the only form of respect he knew. Day after day, our "aye aye boss" and "I'm honored boss" and "let me massage your back boss" was enough to drive a man mad. And 'cause he was the first one to talk to her, Jaren started imitating him. So now we got 2 buffoons running around talking like that. Obnoxious as it was, though, end of the day, that's all it was. But that changed when Marcus started getting real fond of the girl. Every little thing we did, he'd go around telling us to be nicer to her, yeah? But as far as we saw it, compared to when we first took her in, we were treating her pretty damn well. Of course, that's all relative. A proper slave probably still got less hell from their master than we gave the girl. But remember, we only brought her along so we could have fun. We never intended to make her a part of the crew. But Marcos wasn't having any of it. Son of a bitch actually snapped at us.
"You'll pay if you don't stop right now, boss."
Idiot wanted a fight, so we gave him a fight. The whole lot of us beat the ever-loving hell out of him, stomped his face in so bad you couldn't even recognize the poor bastard anymore. But that wasn't enough for him. His face a big bloody mess, Marcos said, "I won't let you lay another finger on Jaren, boss." Tell you the truth, I didn't think he had the sack. Then Jaren comes trotting in. Seems she heard the ruckus and wanted to see what was up. Marcus's eyes went wide and he yelled, "Stay back!" But the girl, she just stood there, same old stupid smile on her face. Seeing her come in, one of the other guys smirks, plops his arse down on Marcus's back and holds a knife up against his neck and says, "Hey Jaren, you like Marcos?" And with a big grin she answers, "Aye, boss." Through the swollen, bruised up mess his face was, you could just barely make out Marcus smiling. Next, the guy on his back says, "Then would it make you sad if we roughed him up a bit more? What do you mean, rough him up? Cut off his fingers, scoop out his eyes, have a little fun." Fun is fun. Why would that make me sad?
You hear that?
I ain't making this up. The girl's still standing there, smiling, and Marcos, he goes pale as a ghost. And he did it. He cut off his fingers. Jaren's still smiling. He gouged out his eyes. Still smiling. And finally, he slit Marcos' throat. Even as the blood spraying right into her face, she never once stopped smiling. Just before he kicked off, Marcos looked like he was thrown into the deepest, darkest pit of despair. I've seen the hope drain from God knows how many men's eyes, but that was on a whole nother level. And as you can imagine, I wasn't the only one Jaren creeped out anymore. Everyone felt the same way. She was so messed up, we all thought we might start turning into her if we kept her around any longer. So, next city we land in, we sell Jaren off. And we all lived happily ever after, minus one twisted little girl.
What do you think? Juicy enough for you? You feel sick?
Sorry about that, Charm.
I thought you had a stronger stomach.
I do wonder what Jaren's up to these days.
She's still smiling like an idiot, or...
Oh boy. Yeah, I think we can all agree something was not quite right with her for whatever reason. Oh dear. Recollections of a vassal's wife. Good day to you too, sir. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Yes, that's correct. This is where our slaves were when they were stolen, as I described when I reported it. What? The number of stolen slaves I gave you doesn't match the number you heard from other sources. No, I had no intention of deceiving you. I simply assumed it wouldn't be a problem because I wasn't claiming we lost more than we did. Yes, I understand. I beg your pardon. I should have reported the number correctly. I will do so in the future, so please, if you would look the other way, just this once. Why did I report fewer slaves were stolen? I imagine you would find that curious, yes? Why would anyone want less of the lost manpower returned to them, indeed? It's quite simple. I did not think it would be any great loss if she were not to come back. Oh no, she was a fine worker. And she didn't cause any trouble either. You want to know about the girl? I doubt it will be of any help to your investigation, but I don't mind telling you. I warn you, it's not a terribly pleasant story, though. Very well. As you wish, sir. We purchased her when she was about 5 years old, so she's been with us for quite some time. 8, maybe 9 years now. When we bought her, she was still too young to put to work. She was in good health, though, and always had the sweetest smile on her face, so I had little doubt she would do as she was told. Slaves tend to be so gloomy and depressing, you know? Not that I don't understand, but unlike many, we try not to mistreat our slaves. As long as they do their work, they have nothing to worry about. The best slaves, I think, are the ones who aren't so dreary as to be infectious and make us feel guilty. The girl's name was Jaren, and while she talked rather funny, she was as bright and cheerful as I had hoped. And she was always smiling from ear to ear. For a while, it felt like we had a brand new member of our family. I was so taken with her, I almost considered adopting her instead of keeping her as a slave. And how did I go from wanting to take her in to not caring if she did come back? It's rather difficult to explain, to tell you the truth. Yes, that's right, she never caused any trouble. She never stole anything, and she never refused to work. She never cried, and she never got upset. No matter what happened, she always did her work with a smile on her face. That sounds like the ideal slave. Yes, you would think so. And I have no complaints regarding her work. Neither did my husband nor our servants. I imagine I'm the only one who would be happy to never see her again. I started thinking the girl peculiar about 2 years after we purchased her. Right around that time, one of our other slaves attempted to run away. Yes, that's right. As I said, we have never once mistreated our slaves. Other slave owners could learn a thing or two from us, I say. We tell our slaves when we buy them that they will be set free as soon as they've worked enough to pay back what we paid for them. So he had only 10 years and then he would have been free. But he chose to spit in the face of our generosity and... My apologies, I've gotten off track, haven't I? The slave who ran was captured soon after. But trying to flee is one of the greatest transgressions a slave can commit against his master. As such, it was, as I'm sure you understand, necessary to punish him. But I assure you, we never mistreat... Yes, I'm sorry. I'll continue. So, as I said, he had to be punished. My husband took a length of rope and used it as a whip, I think it's called. He had all the slaves watch as he lashed the one that had tried to run. It was for their own sake. The other slaves needed to see what would happen if they attempted to flee. The lashing continued for a full day. All the slaves present reacted differently. Some averted their eyes, some cried, some looked on trembling. But it was clear they were afraid, which meant the punishment had served its purpose. For everyone except Jaren, that is. Yes, that's correct. She simply smiled. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. But every time I looked over at her, I saw the same thing. As the slave being lashed screamed out in pain, Jaren didn't even flinch. She just stood there, smiling. Just looking at her gave me the chills. My husband thought it curious as well, but he wasn't nearly as put off as me. She was 7 at the time and a hard worker, and he said there was no issue as long as she didn't cause any trouble. But that completely misses the point, you know? She gave me the creeps. I wasn't comfortable with her around. But of course, my husband has the final say. I couldn't defy him. So I did my best to forget that day. I couldn't get the girl out of my mind though, no matter how hard I tried. My gaze was drawn to Jaren, and I noticed quite a bit as I observed her more carefully. Say one of the slaves hurts himself while working. You might expect another slave to ask if he's all right, to help patch up the wound, to volunteer to take on responsibilities for the day, to show concern and compassion. But Jaren, she would just smile and go on her way, not a word. She was hardly perfect either, is anyone though, and she would make mistakes occasionally. Everyone slips up, and we try not to make a huge fuss about it because we sincerely value our slaves and the work they... My apologies. In any case, we can't simply brush such mistakes off, so we make sure to admonish them whenever something happens to ensure things run smoothly. But even as I scold her, Jaren's still smiling. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's hard not to feel as though you're being disrespected. So once I I lost my temper and smacked her. It was only the once, though, I swear. I'm not a violent woman. I hate raising my hand to anyone. I was sure that, if nothing else, would make her cry. But still she smiled, with half her face red and swollen. I was so perplexed I came straight out and asked her, "Why do you not cry? I just hit you. How can you keep smiling?" And she said, "Why would I cry? I'm not sad about anything." Pressing the issue further, I discovered she had evidently never felt bad for anyone in her life, including herself. Can you imagine? How terrible is that? It's not right. So I decided I needed to teach her how she was supposed to act. I taught her that when she saw someone get hurt, she needed to show sympathy. That when she was being reprimanded, she needed to show remorse and a desire to improve. Sharon listened carefully to every word I said, and before long, she started putting my teachings into practice. At first, I was relieved. Sharon was finally a regular girl. She showed concern, compassion, regret. But it was all an act. She acted sad when someone got hurt, and then she turned around and was smiling again. It never lasted more than a few moments. Emotions were but a flash, there, then gone before you realized. It wasn't normal. It wasn't human. She didn't genuinely feel sympathy. Beyond the surface, she was no different than the girl who smiled as a fellow slave was being whipped before our eyes. Sharon had learned nothing. Unable to bear it anymore, I went to my husband again. I told him she wasn't normal. There was something wrong with her. I implored him to do something, but my pleas fell on deaf ears. She was a good worker, he said. We couldn't ask for a better slave, he said. Oh, but he couldn't have been any more wrong. He wasn't the one who had to look after her. He had no idea what she was like, how unsettling it was merely being in her presence, how deeply upsetting it was. My apologies. I'm fine now. As you can imagine, I'm not particularly fond of Sharon. So it was a weight off my shoulders when I heard she was one of the stolen slaves. Why are you giving me that look? You think I'm the one who has the problem? You think there's nothing wrong with her, just like my husband? One look at her smile and you'd know I'm telling the truth, that she's not simply a little eccentric, that there's more to it than that. I can't take it anymore. Is there no one who will understand me? Oh boy. I mean, even if all that, yeah, we're treating them right, is just her perspective, let's put it that way, that is still very, very unsettling. Yeah, but then again, there were people, maybe still are, that don't see slaves necessarily as human beings. So they would be concerned with that. And at least she tried to teach her empathy, it seems. That's something, that she didn't write her off immediately. She tried, but I mean, we're seeing something's genuinely wrong with Sharon. But interesting that we even get all these details. I thought with her death that would just be it, but okay. Recollections of a prostitute. Kick back for a bit, why don't you? I'm in the mood to talk. No, I'm not gonna charge extra. I don't bill by the hour. you never thought of me as a talkative girl. I guess that just goes to show how much I've taken to you. No, I'm not trying to butter you up, I swear. I've been thinking a lot these days about the place I last worked at. And it's really been getting me down. I can't think of anyone I want with me at times like this more than you. Did something happen there? I've been waiting for that question. It's a bit of a long story. I hope you don't mind. There's a city about 10 days by carriage from here. You know the one, right at Lord Banier's doorstep. The place I used to work was there, and every so often the Lord would summon a few of the prettiest girls to come to his manor. I'm hardly the best looking girl around, even out here, so I was never one of the chosen. But honestly, I'm lucky for it. It's not the kind of thing you want to go mentioning in public, but the Lord has some, unsavory hobbies. Every girl who ever came back said, "There's no amount of money you can pay me to do that again." Word is, the Lord has a taste for torturing and killing his slaves. Not just if you screw up either. If he's in the mood and he so much as sees you, you could be dead. He's got a dungeon under his manor too, they say, and you can hear wailing coming from down there at all times of the day. The Lord enjoys all different kinds of torture. Flaying, dismemberment, boiling, the water cure. I'm sure he uses others, but I've only heard bits and pieces secondhand. He only ever killed the slaves though. The girls all came back in one piece. On the outside, at least. Being forced to watch people get brutally murdered did a real number on most of them. Some were so broken by the experience they couldn't work anymore. So the Lord, apparently he hosts banquets at his manor every so often. But here's the kicker. He only invites nobles that are into the same sort of thing. He's not the only one. We're being governed by God knows how many twisted freaks. I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, something like 2 years ago, I think it was. A couple girls came back looking a good 20 years older, and they told us about one of these banquets. Most of the time, it's just him and his noble friends torturing slaves, but this one was different. There was a girl, maybe 10 years old, chained up naked on his makeshift altar. But here's where it gets crazy. The girl, who they called a saint, was covered in scars head to toe. They cut her up and filled their cups with her fresh blood. But she didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She just sat there quietly. And when she did speak, it was to condemn them as blasphemous and sinners. Can you imagine? Chained up like that, and she's scolding her captors, telling them God will punish them for their actions. I wouldn't have the guts. Maybe she was raised at a church or something. But I'm guessing that's got something to do with why they called her a saint. Oh yeah, the slave revolt was right around that time too. You hear about that? Just rumors. Well, they're not just rumors. It really happened. Because of the revolt, the girls who'd been there made it out in mostly decent shape. And for a while afterwards, the Lord didn't send for anyone. I'm guessing he was too preoccupied patching up the holes in his manor and finances to spend much time fooling around. Sort of changing topics for a sec, but about that same time, the stark-skinned girl, the kind you don't see too often around these parts, started working here. Name was Jaren. She was pretty, always had the widest smile on her face and real friendly. Seemed like the kind of girl who'd draw in a lot of business. And I was right. Within a couple weeks she had already picked up a few regulars, and our manager was going on about how happy he was with his purchase. About a month in, though, we started getting complaints from one of our customers. He said she was being condescending with him. I brought it up with Jaren, but she said she had no idea what he was talking about. So I assumed the customer was just imagining it or full of it. You get guys like that all the time in this business. No, don't worry, you're not one of them. But the complaints kept coming in, which made me think maybe there was something going on. So I decided to talk things out with the guys making the complaints this time, get a better picture of what the problem was. Most of them were pretty useless and vague, but the common issue seemed to be that her behavior didn't make sense. One guy came in after bungling a huge trade deal, hoping to find some comfort, and he spilled his guts to Jaren. But instead of trying to console him, she laughed. You can see why you would be thrilled about that. When I asked Jaren about it, she gave me a confused look and said, "I thought he was telling a funny joke." There was no malice, though. There was no malice, nothing. She genuinely didn't understand how the customers wanted her to act. Can't run a business like this without a solid customer base, so making sure everyone leaves happy is crucial to operation. Which is probably not something I should be talking about with the customer, but, well, you're special, so cut me some slack, okay? Anyway, something had to be done about Jaren. We couldn't risk more dissatisfied customers. Yeah, you can't not have any proper social skills in this line of work. So, I figured the best thing to do was give her some training. Here's how you should react if a client brings up such and here's what you should say if they're looking depressed or upset or whatever. How and when to be reactive and how and when to be proactive. Jaren was a quick study, so it wasn't long before she was putting my lessons to work. I would have been happy with just reducing the number of complaints to a more normal level, but Jaren improved so dramatically, we heard nothing but praise from then on. Say a patron was looking a little blue, she'd give them a big pouty face and say, "What's the matter? You can tell me anything." "Oh no, that's terrible. I feel awful for you." "Is there anything I can do to help? Anything at all?" Just this constant stream of comfort, almost to the point of being excessive. She had gone from bright and energetic to sweet and sympathetic as well. On the surface, anyway. Every condolence she offered was completely fake. She was acting, and I knew because I was the one who had taught her how. There was nothing wrong with that, though. We're not in the business of genuine human interaction, after all. Thinking back on it now, though, I probably should have taught her what the real thing felt like, rather than just how to fake it. About a year later, the Lord started sending for girls again. We all knew he was a madman, that was common knowledge. But he paid well and everyone always came back alive. So we reluctantly complied. But we were wrong. He did kill the girls this time. One came back alive, but she was missing an eye and half an arm. She was in no condition to go back to work. Even just going about her daily life would be difficult. We were aghast. But things only got worse from there. The next time the Lord sent for us, we panicked. For one, no amount of money was worth what waited at the Lord's manor. And two, it was impossible to run a business if your employees kept getting killed. So we attempted to turn him away. But his messenger simply said, "The Lord will not take no for an answer." We either complied or were all executed for treason. What little hope we had left crumbled. We were screwed either way. So we fought among ourselves like a pack of wild animals. "I'm too ugly, you go. I have my regulars, you go. No one likes you anyway." Pure chaos. I was, of course, part of the brawl. And here's where she comes in. Jaren. Everyone's in a big mob, clawing each other's faces off, and she just tilts her head and asks, "Why are you so afraid of the Lord?" Seeing that stupid, clueless look on her face, just about everyone in the room burst a vessel. "All right, we'll send her," we said, and it was decided. Jaren smiled, not bothered in the slightest, gave us a cheery "See you later," and went off to the Lord's Manor. To no one's surprise, she never came back. We figured she had been killed. A week or so later, the messenger showed up again, asking for more girls. By this point, the manager was furious. He demanded to speak with the Lord in person, saying if something wasn't done, the whole brothel would collapse, and he'd put his life on the line to prevent that. Seeing him so resolute, I felt a newfound respect for him. I also thought he was a complete idiot. But I still respected him. After all, there was no way the Lord would be open to negotiation. That much was obvious from everything he'd done. The manager and a few assistants set off for the Lord's Manor. And about 2 weeks later, he returned. Or his head did. His assistants managed to avoid death, so they were able to tell us what had happened. No one was exactly thrilled to hear more twisted tales about the Lord. But we listened anyway, and no one could have imagined what they told us. Jaren was there, with the Lord, alive and well. Not only had she not been killed, he had apparently taken quite a liking to her. The manager was surprised to see her too, but he figured it was as good a chance as he would ever get. If Jaren would speak up in his favor, the Lord might actually listen to her. So, emboldened, the manager pled with the Lord, begging him not to harm the girls, that we wouldn't be able to send anyone else otherwise. And for attempting to oppose him, the Lord ordered the manager be executed. The manager, however, entreated Jaren for help. "If you have a heart, Jaren, please, tell the Lord not to take my life. I have people who need me." Without hesitation, Jaren nodded, saying, "You think you could maybe let him live?" That seems a bit, I don't know, disrespectful for a whore to speak to the Lord like that, but he didn't get upset with her or anything. He really had taken a liking to her, apparently. The Lord nodded and said, "I'll offer you a choice then. Jaren, you may have whichever one of the following you prefer. Either I spare this man's life, or you can have my full attention for the rest of the day." The manager and his assistants were all baffled. How was that even a decision? How was a man's life, a man who had employed her for more than a year no less, comparable to a little attention? But they were even more baffled by Jaren's reaction. She thought about it for a second, and then, blushing, she said, "I want your attention." Everyone's jaws dropped. The manager about burst into tears. He begged her to reconsider, to have pity. He asked what he had ever done to wrong her. "You never did me wrong," she said.
Then why won't you have him spare me?
I just want his attention more.
And you're willing to let me die for that?
What's so scary about dying anyway?
Wow.
Not only did she not comprehend sorrow, she seemed to be devoid of anything resembling fear as well. Which explained why she had so much trouble sympathizing with people's suffering, why she was always smiling, no matter how bad things got. Without our manager, the brothel went to hell. His son took over, but he didn't give a damn about any of the girls. All he cared about was if he had enough booze to keep himself perpetually smashed. So, figuring I had a better chance elsewhere, I left everything behind and ran, leaving my future in fate's hands. Fate was kind to me, and I managed to make it here. They come to me in my dreams sometimes, though. I still see the faces of the poor girls we sent off to the gallows. What? Where am I again?
Awake again, are you, whore?
Who are you, sir?
Wow. It would seem your memories have not fully recovered. Allow me to remind you how you got here then.
No, wait. It's right on the tip of my brain. Let's see. I was at the brothel, and then I was invited to the Lord's place. I get brought to a big city. And then I was taken to the Lord's castle. The Lord called me into his room, and then he strangled me.
Indeed. Your memory has returned without problem.
I'm super duper good at remembering things. Wait. Why did you strangle me?
To test my theory.
Your theory? Of what?
That you're mad.
Mad? About what?
Not that kind of mad. First of all, I never bring just one whore to my quarters. I brought you here because you piqued my personal curiosity.
You mean you're having orgies in here every day? Wowzers, you've got some serious stamina.
I can't. Not being alone with one person reduces the chances of an assassination attempt.
Ah, that makes sense. It's pretty tough being the Lord, huh? So, what are you so curious about little old me for?
The other day, you and a handful of other whores attended the torturing the slave, if you recall. I made you all watch as he died. But you didn't seem affected in the slightest.
Crap, I'm so sorry.
For what?
I wasn't sad enough, was I? The nice farm lady and the girl at the brothel taught me how to be sad and how to be angry. But if I'm not careful, I forget. I'm sorry for not being sad like I was supposed to.
As I said, you piqued my interest. Had you sobbed and screamed like any other whore, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
What? So, me not being sad wasn't bad?
That it wasn't.
Huh. No one's ever said that to me before.
I always thought you unusual, but I couldn't be certain about what you were without getting more personal. Which is why I brought you here to test that theory. You don't fear death, do you, whore?
It's not just death. I've never felt sad or scared about anything ever. I didn't even know sad or scared were things people felt at all until someone told me. But now I know all about them and how you're supposed to act when you feel them. I just don't know what they actually are.
Truly fascinating. Tell me more.
Huh? What do you want to know?
Let's see. Tell me your whole life story. Tell me everything, as far back as you remember.
Wow. No one's ever been this interested in me. This is super nice. Alrighty then, I'll tell you everything. Don't hesitate to conk out if you get bored. Okay, that kind of makes sense that she would take a liking to him if he's the first one to really take an interest in her, to really listen to her. That's so sad. And ta-da, here I am. What do you think? As boring as I thought it'd be?
Hardly. That was easily the most engrossing childhood story I have ever heard. Smiling as your parents are killed before your eyes. I'm hardly one to talk, but you're one thoroughly heartless girl.
I still wish I could do that over. I really loved my mom and dad, and the nice farm lady taught me you're supposed to be sad when people you love die.
That's why you want to do over?
Huh?
You're incapable of experiencing sorrow, no? Feigning it for the occasion won't change the fact you don't actually feel sad about losing them.
I guess you're right. I can pretend, but I still don't know what it feels like. I don't understand why people are so afraid of death to begin with. I mean, pain isn't fun, I get that much. But if you don't let it bother you, it's not that big a deal. Plus, once you die, you get to go to heaven. So I don't get what there's to be so afraid of.
Not everyone goes to heaven.
Oh, that's right. But still, I'm sure there are plenty of fun things to do in hell.
Fascinating. You truly are twisted to your very soul.
Oh, but I do sometimes feel disappointed.
Do tell.
Like, I sometimes wish I could eat my mom's supper again. And I feel left out when everyone's talking about how weird I am. Maybe sad is just like an even stronger version of that.
I get the impression your entire experience of negative emotion is fundamentally distorted, so I don't know if you can say that. Sharon.
Eh?
Would you like to remain with me?
What?
Normally, I send wolves back to where they came from when I'm done with them. But I'm offering you the chance to stay here with me.
Are you asking for my hand in marriage? Oh, what do I do? What do I do? I went from whore to the Lord's wife in 3 seconds flat.
Fool. I would never even take a mere prostitute as a concubine.
Dread.
I am, however, fond of you, so I am offering you a place in my house.
So you're saying you actually want me around? Even knowing what kind of person I really am?
You could say that, yes.
Wow. No one's ever actually wanted me before.
As promised, Jaren, you have my full attention for the rest of the day.
Whee!
Honestly, it shouldn't surprise me anymore how twisted you are. Twisted so far, in fact, you're the most sincere and honest person in the land, to a fault. You hardly even gave that man's life a second thought. The look on his face as he died was magnificent. You are a cruel girl.
I didn't do anything wrong, no matter what you say. I didn't steal anything. I didn't kill anyone. I tried to stay out of everyone's way as much as possible.
So you actually have some concept of right and wrong? Which means you understand that I am a wicked man.
I was taught the difference, yes.
Fascinating. However, simply knowing the difference is of no use. If you don't feel the repulsion it's supposed to elicit. Knowing full well that I was acting maliciously, still you selfishly chose my affection, sentencing that man to death.
That's not what I... No, I guess you're right. I guess I did let him die for my own selfish desires. Looks like I still got a lot to learn.
No, you stay exactly the way you are. As I've said before, you don't need to put up a facade around me. Don't act sad if you're not sad. Don't act angry if you're not angry. Don't feign pity for someone you don't care about. Be you.
But everyone says
Your natural self neither disgusts nor disturbs me. In fact, I greatly prefer you that way. No matter how many slaves I kill and torture for my own entertainment, you never leave my side. You happily accept me, no matter what I do. I would rather not lose that. Don't stand so far away. Sit down beside me.
Aye. A match made in heaven, is it? Jeez.
I have allowed you to stay here for a month now, and in that time, you've been a constant source of entertainment. And you've expressed no desire to leave either, despite being well aware what kind of man I am.
The same goes for you, Barnier. You want me to stay even though I'm such a weirdo.
The difference between you and I, though, is that I kill and you do not.
You know, I've been wondering.
What?
Why do you like killing so much?
It would seem your perception of me is slightly inaccurate. It is not the act of killing I enjoy, but the look of dread and despair on a man's face as his life is ripped away.
There's a difference?
In your mind, perhaps not.
I'd kinda like to know what it's like in your mind then. Sorry. I told you my story. Maybe you could tell me more about you, Panier? Not that I blame you if you don't want to tell a prostitute like me.
You're not a prostitute anymore.
I'm not? Then, what am I?
You're my property.
Ooh, that sounds super nice.
So, to answer your question, I was not always the man I am today. I had several brothers, though I was the eldest. As such, I was first in the line of succession. There should have been no question as to who was the rightful heir to the house. But my father, the previous lord, wanted my brothers to succeed him instead. Without any reason to pass over me, though, he would have faced significant opposition and put the family's reputation and legitimacy at risk. I was neither infirm nor mentally challenged, but rather extremely talented, which gave my father no leverage to deny me the throne. The one thing I lacked was sycophantry. Seeing people try to butter each other up made me physically sick. It seemed to me the last kind of behavior royalty should be engaging in. I believed that merely possessing leadership ability should be sufficient for ruling effectively. But in this world, only those who can win others' favor make it anywhere. Only those who can make themselves look good and their peers like fools. Those who can claim others' achievements as their own, who can appear to have more power than they actually do. My father and brothers forsook me, making an attempt on my life. Because they could not legitimately remove me as the rightful heir, they could only kill me if they wanted their way. I was fortunate enough to survive the attempt, but I still carry the scar today.
You mean the big one on your back?
That's right. You're surprisingly observant. I was in danger of not just losing the lordship, but my life. I was left with 3 choices. To let them kill me, to flee and live in poverty, or to kill them first. I was born to rule though, so in reality, I only ever had one choice. I murdered my father and all my brothers, leaving me as the only one in the line of succession. But becoming the Lord did not immediately win me everyone's favor. Distant relatives crawled out of the woodwork to claim my throne as rightfully theirs. The people demanded I satisfy their every whim and fancy. And even my attendants tried to push their own agendas. The whole affair quickly grew tiring. Dozens were clamoring for a say in matters I could easily handle myself. So I silenced them. Before long, the prodding voices had become corpses. And it was somewhere around that time that I found myself intrigued by fear. Fear is a wonderful thing, an incredibly effective silencer that spreads like a plague. Sufficient application would preemptively stop everyone from interfering. Fear strips man of all his will. When it became apparent to me that one did not have to be a great leader to rule effectively, All the time I had spent in my younger days working to improve myself felt like an incredible waste. Fear became the centerpiece of my rule, and as I continued to employ it, I began to derive great pleasure from the despair it instilled in others. Men trembled at the sight of me. They bowed their heads and abandoned their dignity. They begged me to spare their lives. And what an exquisite sight it was, every single time. Enrapturing. You were born into your madness, Sharon, but I was molded into mine.
Huh. That's neat. But Lord Barnier, wouldn't that make me a bad match for you? I'm not scared of you at all.
Man is a curious beast, you see. Once everyone feared me, I then came to seek those who did not.
You sure are hard to please.
You make it sound like I'm merely a picky child. Though I suppose there's little difference in your eyes. There were a number of others among the nobles who had, like me, strayed from the path. Hardly a surprise given what life as a noble is like. So I started throwing banquets, inviting those who would be interested. These parties were to serve two purposes, the first obviously being for my own amusement. The second, to find those with similar tastes and bring them into my circle. I found little success with the latter, however, despite my rather zealous attempts at recruitment, so I no longer waste the effort.
You weren't able to make any friends then?
No, I was not. The other nobles had no interest in getting their own hands dirty. They only wanted to watch, getting their titillation from a safe distance. Not a single one shared the same madness as me. Jaren.
I?
You are far better than any of them.
Well, thanks?
What are you squirming about? I thought nothing bothered you.
I am capable of getting flustered, thank you.
There is something deeply wrong with you.
You're the one who decided to throw that curveball, Lord Barnier.
Enough with the formalities already. You're not a whore anymore. You're allowed to use my name.
Huh? That is your name, though.
You don't know your own lord's full name, do you, Jaren?
Well,
Answer the question, girl.
I'm sorry.
Allow me to help. I will only say this once, so don't forget it. My name is Jean-François Beignet.
Jesus. 2 foreign languages in one sentence, okay?
My name is Jean-François Beignet, firstborn son and rightful heir of the Barnier family.
Got it memorized. That's a really long name, though. I think I'll call you Franny. That rolls off the tongue nicer. I assume I can take that cryptic chuckle as an okay?
Only if you wish to be hanged. Call me François.
Aye. This is so weird. Like, on one hand, I want to say it's it's less sad that Barnier didn't just use Sharon and genuinely like felt like he had a handle spirit. I don't know, some. But it's just, as he said, very twisted. What a pair. And nothing excuses what he did, of course. Like even his backstory. Like that sucks if your own family wants to kill you. But still, you know, and like you can have your kings, but it shouldn't be killing people.
Jaren. Get up, Jaren.
Huh?
I swear, you spend every moment you're not otherwise occupied sleeping.
I love sleeping.
I said get up, you feeble-minded Nimrod.
Ow! You didn't have to hit me, yeesh. There are nicer ways to wake a girl up, you know?
Be grateful I only hit you hard enough to wake you. I swear the church may have to redefine sloth if they ever meet you.
This bed's so comfy, though.
You do realize the blood of dozens of women has seeped into every fiber?
Comfy's still comfy, though.
Huh. That wouldn't bother you, would it?
So, what's up, Francois? You need me for something?
Yes, I have a favor to ask of you.
What? A favor? Of me? What is it? I'll do anything.
Without even hearing what it is?
It doesn't matter what it is. You say the word and I'll do it, Francois.
And what if I asked you to take your own life right here?
Just give me the knife.
I should honestly be more used to this by now.
Why wouldn't I do anything for you, Francois? I love you. No one's ever cared for me like you before. No one's ever wanted me as much as you. You're happy with me as I am, despite me missing all the most important pieces.
Again, I really shouldn't be so surprised. Fear not though, I won't be asking you to die today.
How much harder is it gonna be then? I hope you don't want me to kill anyone. It would be my first time, and I'm not sure I could pull it off properly.
You're at the bottom of my list of prospective assassins. I doubt you could successfully smother a baby. Although, you could probably cause a great deal of death, I imagine. I would like to make you into a mole.
So you want me to dig holes?
In a sense. There's been word of unrest building in the city of late. Money and resources gathered below the table. Murmurings of resistance being organized.
So a bunch of baddies.
Precisely. I want you to go down to the city and try to find as many baddies as you can, then report back to me.
So that was actually her role, just as I feared it was. Oh well.
Can you do that?
Hey, I can try.
Excellent. A whorehouse would be the best place for you to start gathering information, I think. All I need you to do is deliver reports. Anything more involved would probably cause that empty head of yours to burst.
Aye, aye. just realized if I go into the city, I won't be able to see you as often, Francois.
Does that displease you?
A whole lot. Oh, I bet this is what being sad feels like.
In your twisted mind, perhaps so. How about this? I will have a servant act as a regular client of yours. He will pretend to be a well-off merchant. At regular intervals, he will patronize the brothel, requesting your services and bringing you back to his residence. He'll pay well enough that they won't mind if you're gone for a few days, during which time you can come back to the manor and see me. How does that sound?
Hui, I love it.
Next, we need to discuss how you present yourself. Although you're free to be yourself in my presence, you will need to put on a suitable act down in the city.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Now I'm getting butterflies.
You spent years doing precisely that before you came here.
But I didn't have you counting on me to do a good job of it back then, Francois.
Allow me to offer you a piece of advice then.
Huh? I'm all ears.
Freely tell others about the misfortunes of your upbringing.
I don't think I had a bad childhood, though.
You may not, but others will. Your parents murdered as you watched. Taken captive by the man who did it. Tell people your story, but don't act overly dejected.
Huh? Why not? Won't people think there's something wrong if I'm not sad?
People will think it's more unusual if you get too dramatic because it's so far out of line with your regular disposition. Good acting is subtle, not overdone.
Ooh.
People will feel great pity for you when they hear of your past. And then they will see your exuberance as a sign you fought and found the strength of will to move past your ill fortune. They will be impressed, taken with you. So you needn't exaggerate your performance. Just give it a little bit of flavor. As long as you don't tell anyone those emotions are beyond your grasp, no one will have any reason to suspect otherwise.
Huh. Neato. I'm feeling a lot better about this now.
I expect you won't disappoint me.
Aye, aye, boss. So, hey, Francois.
What is it?
What would you do if, hypothetically speaking, if when I go down into the city, I learn what sadness and fear feel like?
I would kill you, because I would no longer have any interest in you.
Awesome. I'm just glad you didn't say you'd kick me out. Every girl dreams of being killed by the man she loves. Well.
No, they do not. You want me to kill you?
If it comes down to it, I guess. Though really, I'd rather be with you forever.
Oh boy.
In some ways, I should have known by now that this game would actually explain everything, because the first one did that as well, like where you might have gotten hints or did your own speculations for a long time. They pretty much always put everything like showed everything later on, even if it was in a flashback like this one. So it shouldn't surprise me, but it still does. Because you'd think with the death of a character, their story is over. Interesting.
Into the room, Jaren, now.
Ow, ow, ow! You're gonna yank my arm off.
I wouldn't have to if you wouldn't move. Listen very carefully. You stay in this room until everything has blown over. Do not open the door for anyone.
But... Is this what I think it is?
You are only to leave the room if I tell you it's safe, or the manor goes completely silent. And if someone breaks down the door, tell them you're being held captive by the Lord. My predilections are well known among the people. No one will suspect you're lying. I must go now. Farewell, Jaren. I rather enjoyed our time together.
Wait, don't go. I've got an idea, Francois. We could escape through that window there. Tie the sheets up into a rope and climb down. Then we can go somewhere far away where nobody will find us.
I do not have that liberty.
Why not?
Because I am the lord of this land. I was born to be the lord. I murdered my own family to keep my claim to this title. And I will not abandon it until my final breath. I was a fool and a tyrant, neither a great leader nor a great man, but still I bear the responsibility of my role. Fleeing is not an option.
I never thought you were a tyrant.
The rest of my lordship would disagree with you. I used fear as a weapon of control, murdering slaves for fun and prioritizing my own desires over the needs and lives of my people. Do you have a better word for what I am? Whereas you grasp the difference between good and evil, but lack the requisite emotions to give those concepts meaning. I knowingly chose to stray from the path of righteousness.
Didn't you say you could run things just fine with fear? That it was very effective.
Indeed, you can run things exceedingly well with fear. Though I never said you could do so forever. I first saw signs the people were turning against me 3 years ago. While I did what I could to crush the seeds of revolts before they grew, it would seem I missed a few.
If you knew this was coming, couldn't you have stopped it?
I've traveled so far down the wicked path, it would be nigh impossible for me to find my way back into the light. Which means all I could do is continue on and see what awaited me at the end. I could never play the benevolent ruler, though. Those people are inscrutable to me. They all appear to be either ravenous beasts or feeble-minded swine. Were I able to have any love for my own people, perhaps things could have turned out differently.
I can't stay in here and wait, Francois. I want to be with...
You will do as I say, girl. What's gotten into you, Jaren? Death is supposed to be meaningless to you. You do not experience sorrow over loss.
But
Should I not come back, go on smiling. Do not think I will simply let them walk in and kill me. I have dozens of skilled guards, and I can handle a sword myself as well. Far better than any mere peasant. They're getting closer. Now remember, you are not to leave this room, understood? You are my property, and property does not defy the will of its master.
And what if I do come out?
Jaren, you will not be of any help to me out there. And should you obstruct me in any way, I will not hesitate to kill you. You do not have a choice. Is that clear?
Francois.
What? Time is running short.
I love you.
I will always place myself, the Lord Jean-François Barnier, above anything else in the world. And you second.
Wait. Second? That's kinda super crazy wow, isn't it? Whoa. I'm shaking a bit here. I've never felt this way before. Is this what being scared feels like? Huh. This is a lot worse than I imagined. It hurts real bad, like someone sitting on my chest. I can hardly even breathe right. But it's kinda really wonderful. No, I can't do this. I can't be away from him.
Complete the interlude, An Orphan's Tale. Its past this prologue will be part 2. Oh god. Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their God? But our God is in the heavens, he hath done whatsoever he hath pleased. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hand. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. They have noses, but they smell not. It's always too fast. They that make them are like unto them. So is every one that trusteth in them. Psalms. Please pause and read the rest for yourself if you're interested. But we will leave this here for today. Good point to stop. Okay. Yeah, again, really interesting that we saw Jaren's side of things and Barnier's side of things as well. It really goes to show how well thought out the characters in this game are, to give everyone their backstory like that. Again, nothing excuses Barnier from having done what he did. But very interesting to see these different facets of people, characters, and how that all plays together, like how that all kind of makes sense for the story in the end. Yeah. Very interesting path. In the end, we did follow neither Morgana nor Jacopo very much for this part, but that was just the interlude, so again, let's see how the main story will continue next time. Yeah, that's it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'd really like seeing your thoughts in the comments down below. And until next time, bye bye!